The midnight hauntings of owl and bat. It was one of those nights where the moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the forest. The trees, draped in shadows, stood like silent sentinels watching over the sleeping world. On a sturdy oak branch, just at the perfect angle for moonlight to illuminate them, sat two unlikely companions, an owl and a bat. "Isn't it just marvelous out tonight?" The owl hooted, stretching his wings. He was an ancient creature, with feathers as soft as velvet and eyes wide enough to swallow the night whole. "I can practically feel the world watching us." The bat, hanging upside down from the same branch, let out a soft squeak in agreement. His dark, leathery wings flapped in the cool night breeze. He had sharp, pointed ears and a nose that looked like it had been designed for picking up the faintest of sounds. "It's perfect, owl. Perfect for scaring the daylights out of someone." The owl turned his head sharply, as was his nature, and blinked in surprise. "Scaring people? Oh, I thought you were more of a refined creature, bat. You know, a nocturnal animal with dignity." "Dignity?" The bat snorted. "Where's the fun in that? Sure, I'm all about the finer things in life, but nothing beats the thrill of a good scare. And we've got the perfect setup right here." The owl thought for a moment, puffing out his chest in an exaggerated display of wisdom. "I suppose there's a certain charm in the occasional fright. And let's not forget, we are quite the fearsome duo." "Exactly," the bat squeaked, flapping his wings excitedly. "Let's give them a show they'll never forget. They'll be talking about this night for years to come." The owl tilted his head thoughtfully. "Well, I suppose it's not every night you get to share the moonlight with such a mysterious companion. But how shall we begin?" The bat grinned, showing off his sharp teeth. "Leave it to me. First, I'll make the sound. You just wait and watch how people react. It's like music to my ears." The owl raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What kind of sound?" The bat's eyes twinkled mischievously. "A squeal, a screech, a perfectly timed echo of terror." He paused dramatically before unleashing a high-pitched, ear-piercing screech into the night. It echoed through the trees and bounced off the rocks, traveling for miles. The owl winced, his feathers ruffling slightly. "Goodness, bat, that sound could make a squirrel faint." The bat hung upside down and smirked. "Exactly. Now, watch this. I'm going to swoop down just close enough to give someone a little surprise." With a dramatic whoosh, he took off, darting into the darkness with an agility only a bat could possess. The owl, still perched on the branch, could hear the faint rustling of leaves as the bat soared by. A few moments later, a distant scream echoed through the woods, followed by hurried footsteps. The owl chuckled softly to himself. "Oh, bat, you are quite the master of mischief." The bat returned, hovering near the owl. "Did you hear that? They're probably already telling the village about the crazy bat in the woods. But let's not get too cocky. You've got a sound of your own, don't you?" The owl blinked, his large eyes reflecting the moonlight. "I do. I suppose I've got my hoots." The bat tilted his head, clearly unimpressed. "Hoots? Oh, please. That's old school. You need something with a little more oomph. Something that will make their hair stand on end." The owl thought about this for a moment. "Something with oomph, you say?" "Exactly," the bat said, grinning. "You've got that deep, mysterious voice. You're the perfect candidate for the creepiest of sounds." The owl ruffled his feathers, clearly proud. "I see where you're going with this. All right, let's give them something to remember." The owl cleared his throat. "Ahem. Who are you?" The bat immediately started cackling. "You're going for the spooky vibe, huh? I'm not sure if it's the voice or the dramatic pause, but I think you've got potential." "I'll take that as a compliment," the owl replied with a wink. "Let's take it up a notch. I'll do something more eerie." He stood taller, puffing his chest out even more. "Hoo-hoo. Comes into my domain?" The bat's wings flapped in excitement. "Now that's what I'm talking about. Let's go see how they react to that." Together, the bat and the owl flew down from the branch and into the depths of the forest. Their eyes glinted in the moonlight, their shadows stretching long and eerie against the trees. A group of young campers had set up tents near the forest's edge, laughing and telling stories around a fire. One of them, a young man, stood up to fetch some firewood when he suddenly froze, eyes wide as the owl's voice echoed in the night. Hoo-hoo, comes into my domain? The young man dropped the firewood with a loud thud. His eyes darted around the forest, but he couldn't see where the voice had come from. The bat, hovering nearby, whispered in the owl's ear, "Now's your chance." The owl tilted his head. "Let's make it even more fun. I'll swoop in and give them a little mystery." The bat nodded, his grin widening. "Perfect." With a sudden flap of wings, the owl took flight, soaring in circles above the campers. As he flew, he hooted again, his voice sending a chill through the air. The campers screamed and huddled together, their faces pale with fear. From the shadows, the bat let out a mischievous squeal. "Perfect timing, owl. Watch this." The bat dove toward the group, swooping low enough for the wind from his wings to brush against the campers' faces. They gasped, and one of them jumped up, running toward the fire. "Ooh-hoo!" The bat squealed, pretending to chase him. "You can't escape me that easily." The owl landed on a nearby branch, watching the chaos unfold with a sense of amusement. "I must admit, Bat, you've got a knack for creating terror." The bat perched on the same branch, his wings folded neatly. "It's all about timing, owl. Timing and a good mysterious presence." He flapped his wings dramatically. "We make a great team, don't you think?" "I must agree," the owl said, his wide eyes gleaming with mischief. "Though, I must say, your methods are a bit unrefined. But they work." The bat tilted his head. "Unrefined? Me? I prefer to call it creative chaos." Just then, one of the campers, a young woman, began approaching the owl's tree, her flashlight shining through the dark. She gasped, looking up at the owl's glowing eyes. Her mouth opened as if to scream, but before she could make a sound, the bat zoomed down and swooped past her, making a high-pitched, terrifying screech. The woman shrieked, dropping the flashlight. It rolled away in the darkness. The bat zoomed back to the branch, chuckling to himself. Now that was a good one. The owl let out a quiet, pleased hoot. "I think we've thoroughly earned our reputation tonight, Bat." The bat tilted his head, looking thoughtful. "You know, owl, we might just be the most terrifying creatures in the forest. I mean, who else could pull off a stunt like that?" The owl gave a small, knowing smile. "We're certainly a pair of fine specimens. And I think, perhaps we should call it a night before we scare the village out of its wits." The bat stretched his wings and gave a satisfied yawn. "Agreed. But remember, owl, the next time someone dares enter our domain, we'll be ready." And with that, the two of them took flight, disappearing into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of frightened whispers and the faint echo of their eerie sounds. As the night settled back into its usual calm, the forest knew one thing for sure. Nothing could be more chilling than the unlikely duo of the owl and the bat.